In the opening scene, Fran, the housekeeper of a wealthy novelist, Harlan Thrombey, is providing him breakfast, but to her shock, she finds his dead body in his study room with his throat slit. He was murdered on the night of his 85th birthday. 1 week later after his demise, Harlan's nurse Marta receives a call and is asked to go to the mansion where Detective Blank is investigating the murder. It is deemed a suicide since all the evidence suggests so, but Blank believes it was a murder. We are then introduced to the family members, Harlan's mother, whom they also call Great-Gran, Harlan's eldest daughter Linda, who is married to Richard. They have a son named Ransom, Harlan's son Walt Trumby, his wife Donna, and Joni, the widow of Harlan's deceased son, and her daughter Meg. When Linda recognizes Blank, since he's a renowned detective, she asks why he's here, to which he responds that he was paid by an anonymous client to investigate the case. He then asks about Marta. Richard says she started working as a nurse for them, but then grew close to the family. After thorough questioning, the detectives find out that Harlan's relationship with his family had become somewhat strained and that Walt had an argument with his father on the night of the murder, after Harlan discharged him from the family's publishing business, as he was basically useless. This makes him the first suspect. But he wasn't the only one who had an argument with Harlan. As it turns out, Linda's son, Ransom, also quarreled with his grandfather and stormed out of the mansion because he was removed from the inheritance will, making him the second suspect in this case. Our next suspect is Richard, who was confronted by Harlan after discovering that Richard was cheating on his daughter Linda. Harlan threatened to tell her if Richard didn't confess to her himself. The last suspect is none other than Joni, who had been using her daughter's college tuition as an excuse to drain money from Harlan's pocket and was confronted by him when he found out. Marta is next for questioning. She was a very close friend of Harlan's and he talked to her about everything. As it turns out, Marta has a physical reaction to lying, meaning she vomits when she lies. Isn't that convenient in a mystery movie? Later on, Blank tells his lieutenants that even he doesn't know who hired him and that a pile of cash and an envelope showed up at his door requesting his attention to the case. In the next scene, we get Marta's point of view of the night of the murder. She takes Harlan to his room and they have a little chat, during which Marta is distracted and accidentally administers the wrong medication, which would kill Harlan within 10 minutes. Marta is devastated and tries to call an ambulance, but Harlan stops her, saying there's no time and that he doesn't want everyone to think of Marta as a killer since she has been a good friend to him. He tells Marta to leave the mansion and make sure everyone sees her leave. Then she should park the car outside, come back in, climb the side rail, and enter the room through the hidden window. Then wear Harlan's robe. Harlan would be dead at this point. She is to go downstairs pretending to be Harlan, just enough for his son Walt to see him still alive. Then leave again through the side rail without anyone seeing her. However, when she's leaving, Great-Gran sees her, though she mistakes her for her great-grandson, Ransom. So Marta dismisses her and escapes. Oh, and Harlan slit his own throat, so it's basically a suicide. Blank is investigating the house and finds out about the hidden window and that someone entered through it the night of the murder. In the next scene, during a will reading, all the family members are present. Harlan's lawyer reveals that Harlan left all his assets and wealth, including the very mansion they are residing in right now, to be inherited by Marta. The revelation shocks everyone and the family members accuse Marta of sleeping with the old man. She tries to escape from them, but her car doesn't work. Ransom offers her ride and she has no choice but to go along with him. This makes Blank suspicious of them. Ransom takes Marta to a restaurant where he cleverly feeds her and starts asking questions, knowing she will puke if she lies. Marta has no choice and tells Ransom the whole truth. Ransom feels bad that his grandfather didn't trust any of his family members. He agrees with the will and says he won't tell anyone about what happened, encouraging her not to give up the assets. He further tells Marta that he will help her. Marta is surprised to see this side of Ransom since he's basically a jerk, but he continues saying that after the investigation is over, he wants his own share of the money. Marta again has no choice but to oblige. In the next scene, Marta is at home when she receives an anonymous letter saying, "I know what you did." The letter contains a part of Harlan's toxicology report, which shows how much morphine he had in his blood and that he died because of it. She consults with Ransom about the letter. Ransom asks her if the person sending the letter wants something. Marta shows him an email sent by an unknown person with a location to meet. Later on, when Ransom and Marta are together, detectives chase them and arrest Ransom as Great Gran saw him climb up the side rail the night of the murder and confessed it to the detectives. This makes him a stronger suspect. Blank wants to accompany Marta to the police station, but as they are driving, Marta decides to take a shortcut to the rendezvous point, telling Blank to wait as she has to pick something up. At the rendezvous, Marta is shocked to find Fran, who is half dead from an overdose of morphine. As she's passing out, Fran reveals she has a copy of Harlan's toxicology report back at the mansion. Marta, being a nurse, tries to save her and calls 911. While waiting at the hospital, she eventually reveals everything to Blank, who doesn't seem surprised because Ransom has also revealed everything to his lieutenants. Blank takes Marta to the mansion where they find a copy of the toxicology report. Afterward, Marta wants to confess everything to the family and give away the assets to them, but she is suddenly stopped by Blank, who takes Marta and Ransom to another room along with his men. There, he reveals that the report shows Harlan didn't have an excessive amount of morphine in his blood. He further adds that on the night of the murder, Harlan told Ransom he was giving everything to Marta, which made him angry. So he stormed off and drove into the night, but then returned to the mansion, climbed up the window and switched the medicines while everyone was still partying, in an attempt to frame Marta and take back the inheritance. That is when he was seen by Great Gran. Marta is devastated to find out that the mistake she made actually saved Harlan, and if he hadn't slit his own throat, he would still be alive. Blank goes on saying when Ransom found out Harlan's death was reported as a suicide, he anonymously hired Blank to expose Marta and get back the inheritance. At the rendezvous point, Ransom met with Fran and injected her with morphine, causing her death because she had a copy of the report, then used the situation to frame Marta. Out of frustration, Ransom finally admits to everything he did. Then he looks at Marta's face and swears revenge. He then stabs Marta with a knife he finds in the room, only to discover it is a retractable blade. In the ending scene, the police have Ransom in handcuffs, and Linda finds a letter from her father that reveals Richard has been cheating on her. As all of Harlan's family is outside the mansion, Marta is looking at them from the balcony, further showcasing that she now owns everything.